Welcome to the Gran Piemonte. It is the last test before Lombardia on Saturday, and unlike previous incarnations, particularly last year, the flatness has been ruffled up a bit, and it's likely today to rough us up a bit as well as we head towards our ultimate destination. Fabulous Basilica, closed I might add. What did 2018 have to offer?
The gap is 39 seconds, 39.
There's a big crash.
Race now all back together, and Grivko gets caught. Oh, and there we go.
Well,
this is one of the
Mirko
problems.
goes down.
Last kilometer.
Uncle Bernal does the job he came here to do.
Isn't it gorgeous? You can possibly tell that we're at altitude here. We're at Europa. It's a beautiful basilica. Unfortunately, due to lazy monks and the abbot, it's always locked when the cycling comes here because they don't want squeaky shoes around their basilicas. It's not nice. I object to it, and there we are. I've laid bare my disquiet. It is a lovely part of the world, however, and we're going to be kicking on up to the Europa Basilica at the end of the day. Starting off in Aglier, a none too insignificant distance of 183 kilometres. And so there it is. As you can see, there's apparently a big festival here on the 30th of Agosto. That'll be next year. Yeah, they think long here, but they think very quickly when cycling turns up. Anyway, what about the racing today? Aglier, the long flat plain which characterised the race yesterday, has a kicker at the end, as we've already told you, and indeed a spectacular, if you manage to get inside, basilica at the end of it, the Sanctuary of Europa at Biella. It's lovely, apparently. I wouldn't know. I've only been here 3 times. It's always locked. Do you get the point? Meanwhile, 183 kilometres in total today with a double kicker up towards our finish. It's a tough old course, certainly tougher than it was last year, Brian.
Yeah, very much so. Last year we had a sprint finish with Colbrelli, and we can see the pain as Carlton's already described. And then we've got a climb before the final climb, and we were here in 2017 when Tom Dumoulin won in the Giro d'Italia. Beautiful place and magnificent stage that was, and we're looking forward to this finish today.
Certainly are. So, a kind of I don't really want to say diminished field, but there is a diminished field. That doesn't mean to say that we haven't got some fantastic competitors here. Androni, by the way, they've got Simone Ravanelli. They've also got Kevin Rivera, who's been going on spectacular form, who's decided to take it on today. EFA Education, waiting to see how Hugh Carthy starts to battle up the final inclines. Alpecin look a bit tired, along with Zakarin, Steph Kras, Fabro as well. These are riders that should perform at their highest, but the question is, will they? Davide Formolo is a man who's never that far away from some signatures. Astana have come here with Villela, Zeitz, Izagiri, and Team UAE with Dan Martin. What could he do today, Dan?
I think, like you say, that looking down the list of riders that we've got here, Dan Martin is one of the riders that stand out, and he showed some decent enough form a few days ago, so we'll wait and see.
What do you know about it, and what do you hope for today?
I hope the best result is possible. My feeling is good now, and yeah, I try to follow the best climber in the world is here, and yeah, I just want to do my best and for do the best result is possible.
What means Europa for an Italian rider?
Yeah, that's like a history, no? That's a piece of history because one guy like Marco Pantani won one of the most incredible stages in his career, I think. And Pantani is the symbol of Italian cyclists. That means a lot. Unluckily, he didn't get the best of his career, but yeah, that's anyway a piece of history, no?
What do you hope for today? What are the plans for your team?
But today, unluckily, we're just 1 day in front of Lombardia. That's big goals for the team. We actually trying to save a little bit of energy for shut up on the last chance of the year.
Are you looking forward to your first victory in Italy?
I would like to, but we will see what happened today. We have a really good team for today. We have 3 really good climbers with me, Sosa and Diego. But yeah, I think that I am in a good performance, but it's a race and it's always difficult to win, but we will see.
How special is Europa for you?
Really special. It was one of my first climbs that I did in Europe. I live really close to Biella, my first year as a professional. So I know really well the climb, and then I was living in Piemonte for a few years, so it's like to race at home. So I want to do well, but yeah, like I said before, it depends on the legs.
It always depends of the legs. Today we set off with high clouds, sort of a mist really, destined to burn off. It's good weather. See that from the sharp shadows almost as they left town, and once they'd waggled the old tablecloth, we were underway, and indeed it got rather busy. Gazprom wanted to light things up. Being a gas company, I suppose they would, but yes, they've missed the last couple of races here in Italy, but have decided to come along to this one, and so wanted to at least go loud right from the very beginning, and it was lively, Brian.
It was. You can just see Benedetti on the right-hand side. There's 3 riders that didn't start this morning, but still a good field. But you can just get a sense that some riders are possibly thinking about Saturday in Lombardy. Well, there's a lot of other teams, especially the kind of smaller teams, as you alluded to, Gazprom. They're here to race. There's a few riders here to race, and probably an opportunity to win in this kind of famous climb as well. And I would think that it's worth having a go, because you never know what's going to happen on Saturday, and a win's a win. But I would have to think that Bernal would be one of the favourites for today.
Yeah, most definitely. So Shiloh, not shy at all, decides to give it a go. He dug in early on. He wasn't to be in the final incarnation of the breakaway, however, although Gazprom certainly wanted to liven things up right from the very start. Some markers had to be sent up the road, and guess what? Sonny Colbrelli, defending champion, decided that if he wasn't going to feature at the end, he was going to feature at the beginning.
I don't think he'll be featuring in the end, and I think that's why he's doing it now. He's you know, starting with the number one. He was proud to win it last year, but I don't think with this sort of profile he'll be anywhere close.
No, indeed. In fact, it's been very, very fast. We've had average pace of over 45 kilometres an hour for the first couple of hours, and this is what we find ourselves with now. We've dealt with around 130 kilometres. There's 52.8 remaining of the day, and a minute and 25 it's been pared back to. It was out as far as 3 minutes 45, and here's your break. Base is here. Drummond, both he, Rosetto as well, Stefan Rosetto from Cofidis, Francesco Romano from Bardiani, we have Barbero from Movistar, we also have Elie Gesbert of Arkea Samsic. Now, he would have been some people's tip for an outsider today, right to the same team as Warren Barguil, so it's a good marker for them, and that's clever strategy if it pays off, but I don't think he's going to get all the way to the climb. Let's wait and see. It could be that he helps for Warren Barguil if he's feeling back to his best, but we'll see. Enrico Bataglin, 3 times Giro stage winner, is also in the break, and that's a strong card to be played early on by Alpecin.
Yeah, it is, and you know, you have to think that the merger between Katusha and Israel Cycling Academy, and a few riders trying to get noticed, is still trying to organise contracts and things like that. It's tough times for I think both of those teams, unknown. So I think for Bataglin, good rider, got himself in the breakaway, and you know, people will at least have recognised this.
A little bit of cut-up road here. You can tell that it gets very, very cold in this part of the world during the winter time. I mean, we're talking temperatures well below zero, sort of -10, that kind of thing on some of the coldest days. And up on the peaks where we're heading, sort of -14, not unheard of in this part of Italy. Can get indeed much colder than that as well. So we're enjoying the last sort of rays of sunshine that really will warm you as the sun gets ever lower. Clock's about to change, of course, in the next couple of weeks, and quite frankly, winter is starting to beckon. Still haven't actually taken down all of the wheat. You can see the harvesters are still busy in action. It's been reasonably wet in this part of the world. You can see that probably from all the greenery that remains. But here we are, Barbero up at the front of the race, and we have Bernal as well that draws the eye today. He's the out-and-out favourite for Team Ineos. He spoke very calmly about the fact that he knows the area. He sort of let that slip, didn't he? Yeah, I basically started my European career here, so I know every twist and turn, is what he didn't say, but he knows every twist and turn.
Well, he showed yesterday he's got some good form, and looking at this field, I would say he is a favourite for this this race today because of the way the final looks. And you know, we've got an 11.8 kilometre climb. Okay, it's not overly steep, but it's long enough, it's hard enough to split this peloton up. I think that the likes of Dan Martin would be another rider that would ride well today. Diego Rosa, Barguil, Maika, Rivera. Who knows? Hugh Carthy, Gorka Izagirre, Vilela, who finished a very good Tour of Croatia recently. Bachmann, Formolo, Carapaz. So there's a lot of riders in here, and potentially, you know, Landa, he finished third here in the Giro d'Italia stage that was won by Tom Dumoulin from away back in 2017, in which stage 14. So there's a lot of riders. Whether they're going to give 100%, that's another story.
Here's some abandons for you. Feast your eyes, and it's basically the quick men have said, you know what, bye-bye. But Rafa Majka does surprise, and Richard Carapaz likewise, and Warren Barguil said no.
Yep, that's surprising to me. I've just named a few riders that would potentially, it would suit, and then all of a sudden I said, well, we'll see who gives it 100%. Well, that answers a bit the question there, that at the feed station, a lot of riders obviously climbed off. They're thinking of Saturday, so it kind of whittles down the group. And I think everybody wanted to come here. and perform well. But for those riders that have abandoned, they've abandoned at the feed station pretty much halfway through the stage.
Yes, the riposta are for... Oh dear. Maybe it's for ravioli. I don't know. They're probably having lunch. A bit late. Anyway, 49 kilometres to go. We'll be back in a moment.
Coverage of cycling on Eurosport is sponsored by Zwift, where fun is fast.
Mummy! No. Free as a bird, far away.
Find your perfect match. Approved used A-Class from £179 per month. Reserve yours online today.
Our hand-built boilers could reduce your heating bills by up to 30% a year. So you can relax that little bit more. Valent. That's comforting. Find your local heating engineer at valent.co.uk.
Determination can get you where you want to be. At Royal London, we're customer owned, so our focus is getting you there. Pensions, investments, life insurance. Royal London, determination since 1861.
This'll change driving forever, Sergey. It's completely automated.
Are you sure?
Of course. You can really just let go and relax.
Okay.
Sergey, what are you doing?
Well, you said it was automated.
No, the car insurance.
Now I check for new deals automatically. Oh, I see. Whoopsie.
Automate your car insurance with Auto Sergey. Compare the market. Keep life simple.
Bugger back, proper pace about today. In fact, too much for some. They just don't want it. Simple as that. It's not that the weather's bad. There's very few excuses, quite frankly. And this is on board in the peloton. Well, it's on board with the camera bike, who's just making use of himself. Hubert Dupont looks lively. And why not? He's got team principal status here, but it's about Matthias Frank and indeed Nans Peters. If they still survive by the end, of course. It seems that some riders don't want to race it today, but Egan Bernal does, and we think he's an absolute shoo-in to get it today. Another church, probably closed. Gianni Moscon, Diego Rosa and Ivan Souza. Indeed, what a backup squad with Castroviejo, Pippo Garner, Salvador Puccio. Bernal's got the legs, he's got the team. Has he got it in the bag?
Well, there'll be others that will obviously want to try and beat him, but he has to be the favourites, and that's why Team Ineos are riding at the front. So Neri Satoli, possibly riding for Visconti. UAE also riding for Dan Martin. So there's 3 teams riding at front of the peloton to try and bring back the 6 riders that are in front. But the gap went up to a maximum of 5 minutes earlier on today, but it's been pared back quite a lot, and they're not really giving them too much rope as we start to head towards the first kind of main climb of the day.
Micah, not a biker, not today anyway. Barguil said no, non merci. Enrico Barbin, ciao bello. So yeah, there's a few principal riders that have actually left the course today at the Riposto. Some didn't even start. I think Barbin was one of those that didn't. But anyway, so it's thinned down before we've even got to the zone of thinning down, quite frankly. I'm wondering then if the breakaway is wondering how it's going to go. That's the profile of its gap, just shy of 4 minutes. And in fact, right now, back down to 143, 140, that kind of thing. They've had a proper pace about them, though, and with the likes of Enrico Battaglin, he's a rider who's tasted success in the past. 3 stages on the Giro, including 2018 to Santa Nifa. So, yeah, to me, this is a strong break. When Elie Gesbert's up there as well, now that Warren Barguil's gone, he's got nobody to work for other than himself.
But the thing is, when they start the day, they probably knew that a few of the riders, especially in their team, for Movistar, Barbero's in this breakaway, the 28-year-old Spanish rider, and he probably knew that Carapaz was going to climb off at the feed station, so that's maybe why he got himself in the breakaway, a strong enough breakaway. Who's going to control things, the uncertainty, especially with these 2 climbs at the end. The first one of the climbs starts with 36 kilometres to go, 23 is the top. We've got about 11 kilometres downhill before we go up the final climb, which is just a shade under 12 kilometres in length. So, but it's Neri Sotole, Fluorescent Yellow, Team Ineos and UAE riding at the front. There are a few other teams kind of speckled around Bahrain, Merida, looking at possibly this one. They've got maybe Pernsteiner as their rider today. Mark Perdun as well. So there's some strong teams here, but there is an opportunity to take some scalps by some of the smaller teams, and I'm sure that we'll get a race once the road starts going uphill.
Yep. It's absolutely lovely. It's it used to be a dukedom. Yes, there we are, the castle of Castellegno. There's a restaurant on the little approach to it where you can get some sort of ancient food. I've got to tell you, I prefer modern food. Ancient food tends to be a bit brothy. I'm all right with a broth, but not in the middle of summer, and not one that smells of horses. But anyway, that's just me. If that's your thing, get yourself some horsey broth and yeah, fill your boots. Well, actually it tastes like it's been filled boots in the past. Gosh, we're on it today, aren't we? Anyway, back out on the road. Some big names have just said thank you very much. Barguil's gone, Micah's gone, Carapaz's gone, Barbin says thank you. Visconti, you were talking about Neri Sotole. He was my sort of outside pick the other day. He missed out, but he closed very, very quickly on Roglic, and indeed was the best of the rest. So Visconti wasn't supposed to ride this race, but I think he's on such stellar form for Neri Sotole, and what better chance than to give it a dig today?
Yeah, I think this is an important race for the likes of some of the kind of smaller teams, especially the Italian teams. This is an opportunity to take some scalps, and not that Visconti needs to, because you know he's a quality rider and was a quality rider. He's had a great career, but he's just dropped down a level. Still got the quality to get up there and podium, even though a lot of the riders went off course. But Neri Sotole are riding, which is nice to see. Team Ineos, they have to be really confident. They rode well yesterday. Bernal just came up a little bit short, but in this type of final, you would think that he has to be favourite. Dan Martin is the interest. UAE are riding for Dan Martin, and like you say, Carlton, there's a few teams that are here to try and do well. Just saw Vito Concepts over the other side. They've got Pierre Roland, who started to come good in Tour of Croatia. Villela of Astana, you see Ballerini there, nice shake of the hands. You know, Ghana's been riding at the front all day. Ballerini just come up and said, "Oh, I've not seen you for a while, about 3 hours." Yeah, because I've been riding hard on the front and you've been sat down the back, a chin wagon. So the thing is, there's a lot of riders with opportunities here, but it's the teams of Sky, Neri Sertoli and UAE taking control.
Chervo River has a look about you could go panning for gold in this part of the world. As you can see, they're just getting the grebes underway. Some of the coots as well taking flight, and a heron being bothered by the helicopter here. As you do. Chervo River, renowned for its trout. Yes, some tickling opportunities in this part of the world. Meanwhile, these guys, with 41.2 kilometres then remaining, they're holding 146. I think they're going to hit the foot of the first climb, the first of a duo, really. We've had a couple of peaks along the way, but nothing serious. Just kind of rolling, really. But we'll have some climbing, and we'll have some proper descending as well at the end, Brian.
Yep, we will, but not right at the end, because it finishes at the top on the cobbled section where the stage of the Giro in 2017 finished. But yeah, 36 kilometres to go, so in just under 5 kilometres we'll kind of hit the bottom slopes of the first climb, and that first climb is 13 kilometres in length. Okay, it's only 3.5, but it goes up. There's a little bit of a downhill, and then we've got a kind of 12% before it goes up and kind of steps towards the top. It tops out 23 to go, 11 kilometres downhill, and then we go into a final climb up to Europa, which is just under 12 kilometres at 6.2%.
Can't wait. It's going to get lumpy, like the broth. UAE decide to set the pace. This is for Dan Martin. This is climbed off. Jan Polans and Ryabushenko are in here. Can't see Dan amongst this group. Presumably he's in the pack, taking it easy at the moment.
Well, you think so. You can see Rory Sutherland is the tall rider at the back of this this group of 5 riders. So you know, Dan's not amongst it. Polans was up there as well. So there's been a few riders climbed off at the feet. We've not really picked up everybody. I've not really seen Dan. So, but I'm sure if he's here, he'll be towards the front, because the rest of his team is.
Yeah, well, he's not at the moment. So need we worry? Probably. Davide Formolo, Italian champion, says ciao. Likewise, Rafa Majka, Enrico Barbin, Richard Carapaz, Warren Barguil. These are big names that have decided that, I don't know, maybe the monks' habit has washed over them today. They're not taking part. They've a lot of them withdrawn before the race began, and indeed the others at the feed zone. So it means it's a bit of a bagatelle today, and that does not diminish the day at all, because Giovanni Visconti must be absolutely cock-a-hoop, and a few others as well. Team Ineos have stayed largely intact. Gazprom, who started off today, looking very busy. Pierre Rolland's got a chance. There he is, with his aquamarine and white and black, sailing in the middle of the road, just tucks in behind Gazprom. Maybe he's after a contract. Vlasov and Cherkasov are the 2 chosen sons for Gazprom, and indeed that's not where we're heading. That's a bit too close, but yet another seminary. It's closed. Meanwhile, these guys very much open to their chance, but less than a minute.
Yeah, it's coming down. It's because of the push and shove at the front of the peloton. The pace has increased to get good, you know, good road position going into the climbs. So, you know, 52 seconds now for this group of 6 riders. I didn't think they would come to the finish, but there's some quality riders in here, possibly thinking of going the whole way. We know what you know, Rosetto for Cofidis is capable of. You mentioned Gisbert as well, Barbero. So it's a quality group of 6 riders, but they're pushing into the bottom of this climb at UAE. Was up there, the blue jerseys of Gazprom as well. So everybody wants to come to the front and hit this climb at the front, and that's what's caused the gap to come down very quickly.
Well, let's see how they sustain it, shall we? Because UAE is certainly motivated. With Ryabushenko is on good form, and Jan Polans, fair chance today. If Dan Martin isn't within the group, and we haven't seen him, I must admit, still holding out a candle for him. But let's wait and see. They're certainly setting the pace, and Astana are also getting very interested. Gorka Izagirre looked strong yesterday. There's no reason why he shouldn't be strong again today.
I think he should be there for sure. I think possibly Astana looking at Vilela as well. He rode well, very well in the Tour of Croatia, but just look at the Team Ineos just behind. They've got 4 riders, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in this climb. Ballerini just heading it up with Astana now. A lot of looking around, a lot of riders that have done their job, got their riders in position, and have now decided enough's enough. Colbrelli being one of them, just on the right hand side. So last year's winner, as we expected, is dipping out now.
Yep. Just looking through this group, and there's Dan Martin. He's wearing a sort of a golden helmet with a stripe down it. He's in about position 10 at the moment. So he decided clearly that today it was about keeping the pace high and starting to burn off the rivals, and then he'd have his fun a little bit later on. So Dan Martin is installed. He's between positions 10 and 15 at the moment, so he's in a good hiding space. You're catching just sight of him right now in that familiar craning form that he has. May not be pretty, but it's extremely effective. Meanwhile, Pierre Rolland looks lively and up for it today. I think with so many of the bigger names just taking a sidestep, thinking about Lombardia and the fatigue that they've already put in, when the race starts as quickly as it did today, they must be thinking, well, actually, this is too much energy I'm wasting here that I need this weekend.
Well, I think it just planned that they would start, and you know, Bora Hansgrohe, 3 of them climbed off at the feet of Maika, Milberger and Formolo, and you would think that those 3 would be a feature on Saturday. It's just coming a little bit too close. It's too difficult at a final to really push it.
There you go. A powerful man, Sonny Colbrelli, but yeah, built like a brick outhouse, and not the sort of thing that flies up the sort of inclines that we're dealing with later on today. And so, yeah, he just wanted to stretch his legs, and he did it. And
yeah,
good for him.
It's nice to start a race with number 1, and you know, he was a good winner, and he's won recently. He's on some good form, but it's just he's not going to feature in these hills towards the end.
Is this Awet who's having a dig here? Yes. Gebre Medin rides for, indeed, Sweden. They gave him his kit, and he said, thank you very much. Like nationality, like to be naturalised, and indeed is. And this sort of spirited performance we're used to seeing from him, aren't we?
Yep, he's giving it a go, and it's one of these climbs. It's not overly steep. Both of these climbs aren't overly steep, but they are good racing climbs and strong, hard tempo. And you can see at the front of the peloton, it's Castro Viejo leading the way. Ineos are right up there towards the front. Gorka Izagirre and Vilela just behind for Astana, and as you've mentioned, Dan Martin not that far away as well.
Cyril Gauthier, the GOAT, and indeed Pierre Rolland are also in the frame. This is, oh, well, there we are. This is that ceremony I was telling you about, the castle of Valdengo. There it is. Surrounded by a single boundary wall. So clearly a lot of scrapping around here, because otherwise you wouldn't need to build the wall. I noticed they've also built a gin terrace here, which looks rather spectacular. And it looks like it's open, but only for those that live there. Apparently it's private, except when we fly by and rattle the roof tiles, which is what we're doing right now. So, yeah. Looks nice there, Brian. Worth opening your checkbook for. Somebody won 170 million on Euro Millions this year. They could have that.
Oh, isn't me.
Yeah, or me. That's why I'm still here. Meanwhile, there's a race going on. André Zeitz. There's a few who are just starting to look a little bit leaden today. Zeitz pulls to the side of the road. Looks like he's got himself a puncture. Meanwhile, as you can see, it gets a little bit gnarly, and the road itself is going to get something of a challenge. 2 climbs to deal with, Brian, and we're already on the approach to one of them, and it's got some nasty percentages within it.
Yeah, it has. It just goes up in kind of steps. This part here, I think the further we go up the climb, it goes to about 7%. On the first part of this climb, drops down, and then we've got to the second part of this climb. Just the bottom part is about 12%, but you can see the speed they're going up this climb at. Both climbs are not overly steep. but it's the speed that these riders are going up these climbs at is making a difference.
Indeed. In fact, today's going to be over very quickly, Brian. What do you think? We've got an hour? Even at this pace that's going to diminish by the time we get to the 13%.
Yeah, I would say
it goes in steps.
Less than an hour, because after 3 hours they averaged 44.66 kilometres an hour. So they've been riding fast, and these climbs, like we were just saying, they're not slow climbs. They're hard tempo climbs, racing climbs, and you can see that they're going up here at speed.
Yep. So what are we going to be dealing with here? The average over the 13 kilometres is only 3.5%, but hey, hello. Well, this is interesting because Androni decided that they were going to have certainly have a few cards to play today. Kevin Rivera dropped in very late, by the way, onto this race, and Mattia Base has decided that he's going to push off. Now, is this going to be an invite, really, for the likes of Van Dram or Rivera or Ravanelli? Androni Giocattoli have sent a strong team to this one.
Yeah, it's important for them, and you know, they're saying that Rossetto was the first rider to push hard here. Baez is pushing now, so they'll go from all angles. I think a couple of days ago we saw Vendrame up towards the 4, but this is an important race for a lot of these kind of smaller second division Italian teams. This is a big race because the chances of them getting up there on the podium or Lombardy on Saturday is going to be a difficult challenge for them, but this race they're very capable of trying to win it.
In the sort of white jersey here, the lighter jersey, appropriate really, is Rossetto from Cofidis. He won the stage of Tour of Yorkshire last year into Leeds. Clearly a fan. Meanwhile, well done, Christmas card on its way. Battaglin offers up to Carlos Barbero. They're done for the day. Ineos aren't, and in fact this could well be a power display towards the end of the season for a team that really it's had its spectaculars, hasn't it, and indeed some unexpected quarters. Their luck, their form, their ability has all been on display this year, and it's been wonderful to watch. A reincarnation of Team Sky, now Ineos, and they don't come to a race for no good reason. They come to win, and they're here to do that today.
Yeah, they tried yesterday, and it was a good effort from Bernal and co. They had Diego Rosa and Theo Gegenhardt try and lead the way, but it didn't come off. But today's two climbs towards the end, you can just see the speed they're going up these climbs at. Even the original breakaway of Rossetto and Baez, they're going up here at a good speed. So puffing and blowing, but you know, the train is coming from behind, and it's Team Ineos. A lot of riders just kind of sitting back, allowing this to happen. But you have to think that you know, Bernal has to be favourite. But there's a few other riders sitting behind that think that they can win also.
Interesting, just punching in the numbers. We've heard that there was a suggestion that they may well dispense with power meters, and then I think the power meter manufacturers just said, do you really want us to leave with our financing of this great sport? And it seems that that's gone very quiet. Power meters now aren't to be frowned on.
Yeah, I think they're a good training aid. I can understand where maybe in a race they might think about it. Some riders actually, you know, tape up their power meters in races. They don't want to kind of look at it. But it's a great training aid. Whether they decide to ban them, I don't think. It's technology, and as you say, it brings money into our sport.
You know, a struggling 250cc scooter on an incline such as this sounds dreadful. Battaglin looks awful. He's spent today. And here we are. This is Romano from Bardiani, just being wound in by the brake. And just look at them. Ineos, first thing they did when they got to the foot of the climb was reset the power meter for this one and know exactly how much they have to dial in. Some say that's not pretty, but some say it's very, very effective, and it certainly proved to be in their hands. So Ineos it is that starts to push on at the moment with 31 kilometres to go. The gap's 22 seconds to the two handy fellas up the road. However, it looks like their card is marked. Pierre Roland bouncing out of the saddle. Easy to spot this sort of stick insect-like, really. Maybe that's unkind. Maybe it should be praying mantis. That sounds a bit groovier. Anyway, you'd probably prefer that. Anyway, he's in there, and indeed so are many others, including Visconti, who's piling by the wall. And Bahrain Merida don't want to miss out today. Not quite sure it is. I think it might be Andrea Gorosio, who apparently is a huge prospect. Speaking to some of our Italian colleagues, they said, watch him. He is extraordinarily handy. Well, I guess we'll see, won't we, at the end of today, if Bahrain's Andrea Gorosio is indeed there. 30.7 kilometres from the top, base and Rosetto. This is the first climb. We have a downhill section within this climb, and then we climb again before we have 11 kilometres of run down to our final test. So it's a double peak, this one, downhill, single peak to finish. They're on the first of the double peaks. Second of the double peaks?
Yes. They've just gone up. The hardest part of the climb was just about a kilometre ago. It was about 12%, but it didn't look that bad. But now they're in the second part of the climb, and Ineos still have got numbers. They've got Castroviejo on the frontier, and you know, the man they're looking after is the second last rider from the back of so sitting fifth. They've got Castroviejo in the front. They've used up Ghana. They've got Puccio, Moscon, Diego Rosa, and Souza, I think, is the last rider just behind Bernal. But you can also see Pierre Roland, Pernsteiner up towards the front for Bahrain Merida, Dan Martin. They're just waiting. When you show that you've got the power like Team Ineos, all the other teams will sit back and allow you to take advantage. When maybe over the top we might see some attacks, because we've got 11 kilometres downhill before we hit the final climb.
Colbrelli's gone, sprinter, winner last year. Ballerini's gone, clearing his nasal passages. And guess what? This man's gone as well. Doesn't want any company. And Stefan Rosetto has said, see ya, I'm going to try and deliver this one myself. Took a stage in Yorkshire, remember, we reminded you a few moments ago. Can he dial that back? That was a lumpy old stage that day as well. Similar sort of distance that we've got today. But he had more than 17 seconds, quite frankly, at this point, with 29.9 kilometres to go. The pace that Ineos are setting, I don't think they care about the break. They have no fear of catching it, because they're in such control at the moment.
Yeah, they are, and they've still got numbers. Just looking at the gearing of Rosetto, that they're still pushing some big gears up here. It's not a little ring climb, inside ring, that they're going up here at pace, and it's not overly steep. But saying that, when you go up a climb at pace, any climb, a lot of riders are by getting distance out the rear of the peloton. Castroviejo done a good job until now, but you can just see that Moscon and Puccio just having a little chat, looking behind, puffing and blowing a little bit. No attacks because of the pace of the front of the peloton from anybody at the moment.
You know, for a big man, Moscon climbs very, very well. Did so in the Worlds as well, didn't he? Fourth place there. Is that Dan Martin just making his way up? He's got a teammate, well, he had teammates, plenty of them, and indeed there he is. You can see him just craning over the front of his bike. He seems to put his head further forward than just about everybody, plonks himself back down the saddle. I think that's Visconti of Neusitoli with the bright yellow jersey just behind him. Meanwhile, well, the man who just got cuckolded, abandoned really out there, or one of them, that's Mattia Base. And he tries to drum up a little bit more effort, but can't quite. As Ineos comes straight by, meanwhile sailing through, this is that's the youngster actually, Champoussin of the Neo Pro for AG Tour Le Mondial. Very good under 23 rider. Seen a lot of him. He was good at the Worlds. He's been very good in France, and here he is at AG Tour Le Mondial, backing up Matthias Frank, Hannon the Finn, and of course Nans Peters. But Champoussin making a move. All 22 years of him. So light on experience, but apparently heavy on vim and vigour, as is indeed this man, Rosetto, who heads towards these old iron guardrails that stop you falling into the ravine. We've got a downhill run of 11 kilometres. Let's hope that everyone avoids that kind of fate in a short while. We get to the top we've still got a little reach to go, Brian, before we actually reach our peak at Neva, and it actually does flatten out for the top as well.
Yeah, it's just over 5 kilometres to the top of this climb now. Rosetto still in front. He's only got 14 seconds. Like you say, they're not too worried about him. He's still riding the big chain ring at the moment. Okay, a high sprocket at the back, but you know, that just gives you as an indication of the pace that these guys are going up this climb at. Still a sizable bunch. Hugh Carthy for Education First, just in the left-hand side in the pink. Neri Sertoli have got Visconti there in the right-hand side, but it's all about Team Ineos for the time being. Everybody just prepared to sit back and allow them to set this high tempo, and it's been Castroviejo pretty much all the way up this climb so far.
Great to see Hugh Carthy here. Woods did it for Education First yesterday, and can this man do something for them as well, keep them in the pink? Well, he's riding onto the back here of Ineos. I'm surprised actually he hasn't been picked up by Ineos, or indeed they've made a move on him, because he's that higher quality is Hugh Carthy, and when he's allowed to have his head, he's almost the best of the domestiques in the mountains, isn't he? He's such a strong rider who seems to be able to turn himself inside out, but usually on behalf of others.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't want to go. It could be as simple as that, and yeah, I think he's got his freedom. And I think we were watching him. Was it Roman Day, or I think it may have been Roman Day, where he was trying to help Woods. Woods came up a little bit short, and I think Hugh Carthy was probably in better shape at that time, and then he went on to do well in the races afterwards. So I think some riders like the freedom. I think it's been noted that you know, when you go to a team like Team Ineos, you've got a job to do, and that's it. And some riders prefer to have a little bit more freedom.
Yeah, I very much like Hugh Carthy. In fact, Brad Wiggins describes him as very much his brother. Looks like Hugh Carthy's actually calling the camera bike here to just give a bit of space, calling it away. It duly obliges. You don't mess with Hugh when he's in combative mood. The Hugh mood. Manny Bookman also getting up there. One of the best climbers in this peloton, actually, is for these kind of climbs as well. And without Rafa Majka, and indeed without Mühlberger, surely all attention has to now go onto Manuel Bookman for Bora Hansgrohe. Let's see how he goes. Another Sanctuary. There we are. You can almost hear them slopping out the gruel as we speak. Not that you ever get to witness it, of course, because the door's locked. Anyway, round they come, round the outside, and indeed, should we have a bit of descending? Why not? 27.4. This is one of those little downhill routes that we've been telling you about. It does pick up again rather quickly, so this is not our full-on 11-kilometre descent just yet.
No, not for the time being. But Rosetto, he's determined to kind of hang on. He said that he'd won a stage of the Tour of Yorkshire. Well, he got himself in the breakaway that day and kind of soloed a long way out in that stage to win. But it's not going to be his day today. But you have to think that Cofidis have got maybe some options in this race with potentially Ide. Not Nel Bahani, I'm sure he'll be there. Harada, Perez. There's a few riders that Cofidis have got that could possibly, you know, shake it up. But you all have to think that Team Ineos, they've controlled this until now. They've not really lost anybody. They've used Ghana up, but it's still Castroviejo at the front with still a sizable peloton behind.
I'm actually beginning to wonder whether we're not on the long descent, you know, and the map is in error. Let's wait and see. Oh, I think I've just had the answer. Let's start climbing again. It looked reasonably highway-y. I know that's not a word, but anyway, Ineos still on his case, so we go climbing again in the second or yet another phase of this sequence of steps. You said it was a racing peak, Brian, and so it's proven to be. We've only got 25 kilometres to go.
Yep, and it's still Team Ineos with Castroviejo, Puccio, and just behind you can see Bookman moving up. They've also got Conrads, the Austrian champion for Bora Hansgrohe. You can see the team of Astana with 3 riders as well. So I would think that there's a lot of riders just kind of happy to sit and wait, but there's a lot of numbers for Team Ineos, and it's just I think they'll want to keep it all together, come on to this final climb, and you're probably talking about maybe 5 kilometres to go. Around about that is where Bernal will be making his move.
Let's dwell on the final climb, because once we go over the peak here, it's all going to be about the descent and the introduction to it. So 11 kilometres. I notice Astana started to muster just a little bit. Gorka Izagirre, who has been on very, very good form, actually looks far stronger than Jon did, who I thought was going to go well towards Torino, but not. It was Gorka, backed up by Davide Villela, who was runner-up in the Crow race, we might remind you, and Andre Zeitz as well. So a lot of firepower just starting to show itself, tucked in behind Ineos. So there they are, that phalanx of blue of Astana waiting to attack. They're notoriously good descenders.
Yes, and you may see a couple of the riders go on an attack on the descent, maybe to test the Team Ineos out, because they'll probably ride it with a bit of caution. And you can see that although we've got the sun for much of this race today, you see leaves, you can see a bit of a kind of damp surface as well, so they'll know that this descent could be a little bit treacherous, and someone or 2 or 3 riders could take advantage of this descent for sure.
You saw in some of the corners there the greened up wall with moss. There it is as well. Tells you how dank it remains here, and I'm not sure what the level of tree cover is once we go over the peak, excuse me, but it certainly have a dampening effect on our break. That's it, all done. So the phrase will go out all together, save for those who've been tagged off the back here, because of the pace that Ineos have put in. Tucked in nicely and seated in position, ready to attack as we head inexorably to our Basilica. 16 Celsius, a little bit chillier inside apparently, but as the gates are shut, we wouldn't know that. Yes, you turn up here with a bicycle race, and they basically don't want clicky, squeaky shoes anywhere inside. So we're climbing. Soon we'll be descending, then we'll be heading to this beautiful basilica. You can see it from an awful long way away, because it actually sits at the head of a valley that goes up into the sky. So yeah, it sort of sits up there, looks like it's floating amongst the trees from a great distance of I don't know, 50 kilometers or so. You can see it, but yes, then when you get here it's shut. They're not keen on visitors apparently, but anyway. 24.7 as they're heading towards the basilica with its cafes and indeed trinket shops. Like your money, just don't like you going in. Not on a day like this. Let's wait and see. All this leaf litter is starting to worry me, Brian, especially with some of the moisture as well, which has been held on the road. Now it's you can see the mottled colour of the grey asphalt here. Let's hope that they all keep it safe, shall we? Because this is going to be a pretty spirited descent, because inexorably it leads you to the base, which takes you up the final climb, and they want as much space and impetus as they can get. Yeah, they will. And let's wait and see what happens, because we've still got just over a kilometre to go to the top of this climb. Is anybody going to attack this descent? It's a tactic being used before by some teams, but I'm not too sure if they'll try and take advantage today. And just looking a little bit further down, I can see that Movistar looks as if they've got a Landa up towards the front as well. So he's another rider that they're known what legs he's got here, what the motivation is. But in this stage in the Giro d'Italia, and a couple of years ago he finished third, so you'll know the final climb. So we'll just wait and see if he does decide, because he's another one that could battle with the likes of Bernal to win the race today. Waiting for the tipping point in a kilometre and a half or so. By the time we get there, I think Dan Martin's actually looking lively today. Patrick Conrad as well alongside him. They're riding together, not swapping any conversation, but certainly within support of each other rather well. Danny Navarro at the back here. That familiar chugging style of his. He sort of rocks backwards and forwards a lot upon his saddle. And Gazprom with Shylov, who was the first man to start a former breakaway today, paying a price maybe.
Yeah, he's just going to hang in a little bit. I think most of these riders now will go over the top of this climb, and then we get into this descent, and I think a lot of them won't be looking forward to this final climb. It's just under 12 kilometres. Okay, it's about 6% on average, but the speed that these riders are beginning up at will definitely hurt them.
What about Nicolas Ede and Anthony Perez? Ede didn't climb off the bike, did he?
No, I've not seen. I think Eddie's been showing some good form. He showed it in the Vuelta. He led the Vuelta. He showed really good climbing form. So Cofidis definitely have another couple of options now that Rosetto has been brought back.
Here we are then. Just getting some data on Moscon, and there it is. I'm never quite sure what you can read into this, Brian.
Well, it keeps on changing, but the thing is with them, it's the power output. They're pushing it hard. It's very difficult to, when you compare. You look at the size of Castroviejo, look at the size of Moscon. So you can read a little bit into it, but it looks as if they're definitely trying hard. They're pushing for over 400 watts in this climb. And you just see Moscon is out the saddle, so they are trying.
Yep, they are. A lot of people describe them exactly that way. Incidentally, our thoughts with Dave Brailsford, who's of course team principal. Wish him the very best with his challenges at the moment. Meanwhile, his boys are doing a phenomenal job, and Astana just tucked in. Movistar not to be diminished. What you say about Landa is a strange one. If he's in the mood. And he is a moody man, despite the fact his face is all pleasant and he says the right things PR-wise, but he blows hot and cold, and I often feel it's down to the way he's thinking.
Yeah, I think it does definitely come down to the motivation. But we're just over the top of this climb now, and we're going to go into this descent. I hope he's in the mood to race it, and it does look as if he is one of the Movistar riders towards the front, because when he's motivated and he's on some good form, he's a quality rider.
Yep, he's tucked in. So is Dan Martin, which is great to see. Personally speaking, I'd love Dan Martin to have a dig today, but I'm sure I am not alone. Who's it going to be from AG2 La Mondiale? I don't know. I'm just wondering whether Chaputin is actually going to get his head today, but I think Matthias Frank.
He's a champ already, but Matthias Frank will be, I think, the main person for AG2R.
I think so. So, should we have a bit descending?
Yeah, you can, and nobody's trying to take advantage. They're just allowing Ineos to control things at the front. I think they'll be cautious. No one wants to take any risks. And it could have been an opportunity to try and do something, but then again, seeing the 6 riders from Team Ineos at the front, it's always going to be very, very difficult to get any gap whatsoever.
Here comes Movistar, just trying to get up and into position at the moment. Carlos Verona, I think. They've got Ruben Fernandez as well, who'd like to take on this peak. And of course, Mikkel Landa. Lots of whistles going on at the moment. Why? Sort of broken surface here. Very, very tight turn. In fact, I think we've seen an accident right there when we came on here on the Giro, if I'm not mistaken, which is why they've guarded it, because there was nothing else there. Recognise the turn. Some of you will probably go and spool back and find it on YouTube and find out exactly what I'm talking about. But yes, I think we had a spill there. 21.3. Road seems reasonably dry, to be honest. It's well swept, I'll give you that. And maybe that's because the race was coming through. And it most certainly is. And the motorcycle here, not exactly guiding Team Sky down, but we've got 21 kilometres to go. A short, punchy climb towards the end. It will be wearing. The pace will certainly slow down dramatically, but that's where. Well, are they going to fill it in red? Yes, they are. Here it is. Let's see where we are on the descent. Much of it remaining, about 7 kilometres to go before we start to bounce and then take on our final test. So that'll be about 12 to 13 kilometres in length. We'll talk you through it when we come back, but Going to take ourselves a little cake break at the moment. Unfortunately, Suzanne Wolf has not sent her her cake over, which she's displaying on Twitter at the moment. But anyway, we're going to take that break and we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. Look at the pace. Well, you can tell we're going downhill at the moment. Camera bike doing some great work, not leading them, but they'll tuck in behind if they possibly can. A little bit of a gnarled road here, suffered a bit of frost damage, which you get in this part of the world. And I guess the municipality has not decided to spend its money on this particular road paving that we're dealing with today. It's not the highway in or out of town. Meanwhile, we're looking at Pierre Roland just taking himself a feed, but finds himself at the back at the moment. That's a bad place to be when everyone's being directed at the moment by Ineos, with Astana having a chit-chat. As you can see, they're wondering about how they're going to take on the rest of the day. I don't know what Pierre Roland's doing back there, because his teammate Cyril Gauthier is very much bouncing up front. Maybe therein lies the secret of how today is going to be dealt with by that particular team. Roland's still there on his own, harrying the white line. Still feeding, maybe a pop-up at the end, we'll wait and see. We're nearly there, Brian, we're nearly climbing. Let's talk about what we're dealing with. A maximum of 13% on the last reach.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. That comes pretty much halfway up the climb, and over that period you're talking about what's 2.5 kilometres at 8.5%, and like you say, maximum there is 13%. And I can remember it when Tom Dumoulin won here. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a climber's climb, although Tom Dumoulin can climb. It's more of a power effort. I think Zakarin was second in that day, Landa was third, so it's a bit of a power climb. It's very much similar to the climb, maybe a little bit harder than the climb that we've already done. But you would think that at this time of year, with the field that we've got, and you mentioned Pierre Roland, he does that a lot, just in a smaller group like that. He sits at the back. Also noticed that Louis Meintjes is also there for a Team Dimension Data. Not really the form that he's had over the past few years, but you do want to try and move up, and you want to move up as this climb starts, because it does get narrow in places, and the climb will start just under 12 kilometres to go.
Dimension Data also have Emmanuel Gebri-Chabier. He's also tucked in here, I notice, and thinking about a move. A few others likewise, but Ineos have been on the front for quite some time. Bora now just assembling in numbers with Manny Bookman as part of their fighting force. We're coming into town. We're about to bounce and take on our final test. So it's around about 12 kilometres in length. And yes, the more difficult section comes dead centre, but we have an entree really of about 5 kilometres. So taking us down to about the 8, which isn't that difficult. And it could well be you're seeing some sort of ramp sprinting, as it were, as we head towards the point where the road really does kick up. Visconti certainly wants a bit of today, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's up there on the left in fluorescent yellow. And
hard word to say, fluorescent, isn't it?
Yeah, that time it was fluorescent. You can see it okay now. But yes, it's amazing, some words that just yeah, difficult to say at certain times. But Team Ineos still
like number 82
pushing hard. Yeah, I'll leave that to you. And Castroviejo and Puccio are two of the riders that have done most of the work so far since the bottom of the previous climb. So they've still got strength in numbers, a group of about, what, 50-60 riders maximum now left at the front of this race. A lot of riders that started this race climbed off at the feed zone thinking of Saturday, but everybody here committed to the cause and want to go all the way today.
Just passing by the old textiles factory. I imagine they use the fresh water here to wash through. Italian tweeds, by the way, extraordinarily expensive. Even more so than Scottish tweeds. Don't know why. 12.9 kilometres then. Big turn over the Cervo. Spectacular bridges here, some of which have had a modern incarnation, a modern head on old shoulders, as you can see. Time then for the remainder of the day. It's passing by very, very quickly. In fact, I think we're ahead of our fastest pace today. And the cobbles, which characterise the approach, it's so that the old horse and traps that used to carry some of the pilgrims who, frankly, just didn't want to crawl up, would help them get some purchase on the climb. But it makes for a rough old surface, indeed reflected through your arms and elbows. And you see a lot of this on the move up as we skirt around the old citadel, which protected the foot of the valley on the approach, of course, to our basilica. So a sheer wall here. It's going to feel like some of them are climbing it with 12.3 to go. So it bites in sections, doesn't it?
Yeah, it goes up in sections. The middle section is probably the hardest, and the ride at the front, Castroviejo, is probably ridden the hardest today over that previous climb, and is still setting the tempo. No attacks, and I can't see the attacks coming until further up the climb. We're still looking at the back of the peloton with the Louis main case here. But Team Ineos still have 6 riders towards the front. They used Ghana in the flat land to control the breakaway. Astana, Bora, they're all starting to kind of move towards the front.
Ineos have been just the policeman of the feast so far. Somebody's going to get this wrong.
Yeah, it was a nasty one.
Yeah, they got through there okay, but that wasn't bled into the ground, which gives you at least a chance if you get launched off it. But if you have an upright section, even if it's just a modest amount, a couple of centimetres, it can cause a pinch puncture if you strike that hard enough, and that's not nice. Meanwhile, we all got away with it, so let's not dwell. We're coming through Biella, or Biella, and as soon as we get out of town, we climb properly. Although this is one of these sort of modest ramps that we're dealing with right now, about 2.5%. So it is, you may well see some of the buildings have just sort of seated into the ground. But yes, we are going to head for the first little climb, very modest. It hits about 6% as a max. And then we've got about 3 kilometres before we get to our zone of hurt. And that will feel almost flat, certainly visually to look at. They've got a proper pace about them, though, and this has got to be a wearing exercise by Ineos. I'm hoping they don't get bitten by this strategy.
I don't think they will. They've got enough numbers there towards the front, and it's pretty much most of the riding, in fact, pretty much all the riding has been done by one rider, and that's Castroviejo, the Spanish rider. Puccio is giving him a couple of turns, but that's about it. So they still have strength in numbers, but sometimes we see that in a team where one rider's doing all the hard work, and then we get to the first few kilometres of the climb, and they all disappear in quick succession. But I noticed that Rory Sutherland is looking after Dan Martin towards the front, and Astana still have some numbers, so it'll be interesting to see who decides to go on the attack first now.
Powering into it. I'm going to be fascinated to see how just how far Gianni Moscon survives this one, because I think he's actually worth considering, worth pondering for Lombardia. I know there are bigger names around, but in Italy, when he gets his head, he's phenomenal. And for a big man, he climbs extremely well. He's in 3rd place at the moment. He was wonderful at the Worlds, wasn't he, on that circuit?
Yeah, he was, and yeah, it will be interesting. Like you said before, he's not a small lad, but he's got a lot of power. This is the sort of climb that would suit him more than possibly a steeper climb. But I think he's got a job to do today. We alluded to that before. In a team like this of Ineos, you've got a job to do, and I think his job is to try and help, and he'll do some tempo riding at the front for Bernal. So with this tempo high, it's going to be very difficult to see any attacks, but wait till we get halfway up where it starts to kind of bite a little bit, and there we might see some action.
This is that sort of 6-7% portion that we're dealing with. They skirt over it rather Schnelski, and then it flattens out. It actually has a little downhill run that they're going to come to in a few moments' time, because we're sort of going around the mount, then we'll take a turn and go up it. Does that make sense? So in and out of the dappled sunshine, these spectacular long shadows as the light starts to head to that golden time where filmmakers just start getting a little bit shaky with excitement. Meanwhile, it's still Ineos. And indeed, you're starting to see some gaps opening up here and some riders just being tagged off the back. You've got to struggle to stay with this if you want to play the game.
Yeah, you do. And, you know, everybody's still doing their job. Castroviejo set the pace in the previous climb. He's still setting the pace now. A lot of riders being distanced. Dan Martin in the white there. And a lot of riders just content and just sitting back for the time being. Visconti, he had his team on the front earlier on today, so it must be on a good day. But yeah, I think it's going to be a few kilometres from now where we're going to see the initial attacks come from.
Don't be surprised if it's Nicolas Ede. He's looking lively. He's just had a quick check at Dan Martin. They've sort of given each other a nod. It'll be fascinating to see if that works out. There's Meintjes just by the wall. Diminutive figure who took a series of ever decreasingly ineffective lifeboats, one after the other. Finds himself back at Dimension Data, but still waiting for him to go as loud as he was as an initial prospect. Meanwhile, there is Dan Martin tucked in. That's Ede on his back wheel, and number 53 is Manny Bookman. Well, Cream rising to the top here. This is fantastic. Age-Tour Mondial with Nans Peters, who we know on these sort of climbs can actually go well. Thought it'd be Matthias Frank for the men with the brown shoulders. Meanwhile, it's the men with the black shorts at the moment who are going for it, and they are in controlling mood. You see how everyone, even in their wake, is struggling to keep up at the moment. Another little pinch, yet more cobbles. Have some more rough stuff. Just look at the elbows here, just chattering away. It's not comfortable riding, is it, on this surface?
No, just going through town, it does get narrow, and then we come out the other side, it starts to get a little bit steeper. So we might see some attacks, but this pace it's been set by Castroviejo. That's why we're getting absolutely no attacks so far. Nobody took advantage of that descent as well. So onto this kind of flatter section, it will soon rise up again as soon as we leave this town.
Yep. And in fact, it's in about 1,800 meters time. So that's when we start climbing, and that's when it gets really punishing. I guess that's when we're going to see the mettle of Ineos and just how much they put into today. Looking back down this string, as you can see, Dan Martin tucked in about position 10 at the moment. There he is, just doing it on his own. He burnt his team early.
Yeah, they rode in the front. They have looked after them. Rory Sutherland was I think the last rider to help him out. I think he will still be there just a little bit further back, but Dan is very capable of doing this pretty much on his own. We know he's on some reasonably good form from the Trevally Varecin. He was one of the riders that went straight on, so he's definitely a contender for this one. Bernal looking good. Villela is getting looked after by Boaro of the Italian riders, so the Astana riders towards the front, Bora. So there is a lot of riders just kind of sitting there. We've not really seen anybody accelerate or attack yet, and I'm sure that's going to come in the next few kilometres.
I think you're right. Trouble is, with this sort of pace, difficult to accelerate an attack because
it's a racing climb. Yeah,
it's been an attack, hasn't it, for the last sort of 20 k's?
Yeah, the speed. Castroviejo's gone now. His job is done, so it's now down to Puccio. But just look at the concentration. They are going up here at speeds. You can see the front group are all sitting. There's no bunching up. Sometimes in climbs like this, or steeper climbs, it's kind of bunched up a little bit. But it's all in one line. The whole main peloton here in one line, which shows that the pace is really, really high.
You know, the look of him, Egan Bernal looks like he's suffering. He's not one of these guys who kind of hides his feelings, and maybe it's just the way everyone else is feeling. But I'm beginning to doubt Egan Bernal for today. I'm actually wondering whether it's going to be someone like Ivan Sosa or Diego Rosa that has a dig. Let's wait and see. It doesn't look comfortable at the moment with the pace, but he hasn't called for any change.
No, he's sitting in fourth place. I think it's Sosa, it's the rider behind him, then Boaro and Villela. But such is the pace, everybody concentrating that we're not going to see attacks unless this slows up. That's when the attacks will come. But you can even see at the back of this group, there's a lot of people just kind of hanging on.
Good people too.
Yeah, a lot of good riders, and Pierre Rollon is still down towards the back. So because of this pace in the descent, he thought, yeah, I can just swing around here and move up when I can. Well, you can't move up at this speed.
You can't. That's the battle plan, and executed beautifully. Here is Bernal right now. Check him out. I don't know. I've seen him look more comfortable. Well, let's put it that way. But his team around him. Look at Moscon starting to give it the old Elvis sneer. There is a bit of rock and roll about Moscon. There's a dark side to him as well, as I'm sure you know. But yeah, when he's minded to impose himself, he goes well. He's a bit of a gunslinger. Meanwhile, guess what? Our Conrad is starting to move up here. There's Dan Martin. Conrad to offer up a little bit of help for the man who wears number 171, the Austrian champion with a double red sash of his nation's colours. Of course, in fact, I think I may have misguided you there, but anyway, Dan Martin certainly in the frame. The Austrian champion, of course, rides for Bora, which is why it's a different jersey. But anyway, 6.5 kilometres to go. Won't be helping out Dan Martin, but Jan Palance may well be. Apologies. Meanwhile, they wrestle the wall, and Dan Martin just starting to meerkat just a little bit. Is he going to make a move? And here he comes. Well, you saw him taking a little bit of vision. Didn't like the position he was in. As the road narrows, Dan Martin, a master of his own destiny here potentially.
Yeah, just moving up to the wheel of Sousa now. It's starting to get a little bit steeper. It's starting to bunch up, so the pace has been, I wouldn't say knocked off intentionally, but we're starting to get into the steeper parts of these slopes, and you can see that the main peloton starting to bunch up a little bit, which shows you that we're on some of these kind of steeper ramps.
Wow, Dan Martin, can he? Will he? Flicks the elbow out just as a warning for the van that was parked there, rather incongruous. Hugh Carthy still here in the pink. So, who's going to go? Who's going to make that explosive move? Still Ineos up there with numbers. There's Dan Martin filling your screen, loud and proud. There's Hugh Carthy, rangy as ever in the pink, just tucked in on the back here of Team Ineos. They're in control, but will they be at the end?
Yep, no attacks yet. 6 kilometres to go, and there's no real panic because they do have numbers in front. They still have 4 riders, but we're starting to see that kind of bunching up effect. And if you get the legs, you'll move up towards the front. Gaultier is in the for Vito Concepts. Louis Minky's moving a little bit up, but you can see that the pace is off because of the steepness. It's very fast earlier on in this climb, but Puccio is there, Diego Rosa, Bernal, and then Sousa, with Astana still having Villela just behind.
Big struggle to stay involved, as you can see. That's Chapuissin, the youngster, just coming up on the right-hand side, by the way, for AG Tour Le Mondial. Wait to see what Ede does. I thought if anyone was going to roll the dice, it would be he from Cofidis. He's in there, but as yet, no move. Nobody's able to do so. Only 5.8 to go, Brian.
Yeah, there is, and you know, such is the pace from Team Ineos. There's been absolutely no attacks, but you can see Hugh Carthy, education first. He may look a bit kind of ragged, but that's just his style. He's the sort of rider that doesn't mind trying to go on the attack.
Here comes AG Tour Le Mondial, wanted to join the pace, or at least join the fun. Indeed, a couple moving up here. Marius Frank is there, so is Chapuissin, the youngster. Haven't seen the Finn Hennanen, but right now Ineos again out of the saddle, and again keeping the hurt on. Just as the others started to move up and get themselves into position for a potential launch, pace changes again.
Yeah, still strong tempo, slowed ever so slightly, and that's purely because of the gradients. But Puccio, Diego Rosa, Bernal, Sousa, they've been joined at the front by 3 riders from AG2R, but this front group kind of thinning out a little bit. You look a little bit further back, there's a few riders starting to be distanced now, so this is starting to bite a little bit, and as we say, it's only a matter of time. Probably just inside the last 5 kilometres we may see some attacks start.
Well, not from Pierre Rolland, I'm afraid. He was at the back for much of the approach, and clearly it was a place he was comfortable with. Also, just starting to struggle, some of Neri Satoli. Schoenberger, I think, is off the back. I think Visconti is still within this group. There he is with his bright yellow shoulders. Meanwhile, Hugh Carthy just starts to bounce with confidence. Dan Martin stays planted just behind Carthy, who now sits back down in his saddle as well. AG2 on the Mondial have got numbers here to start playing with, but is it a game that they can play? I'm not quite so sure. They're mobbing much of the road at the moment and starting to move up and into position potentially. Astana still a threat, but from what quarter we'll wait and see. Meanwhile, Ineos still driving it, and Salvatore Puccio doing a fantastic job, just about to make an exchange at the moment. And round the outside is that youngster Chapuisat, who's done so much work, you know. He's still there on the left for AG2 Le Mondial, just tucking up on the inside comes Matthias Frank as well. He moves onto the shoulder of Hugh Carthy, and in fact just sits in front of him. 5.1 to go. Yeah, you can see the power data when they got on the flat, just going down into just over kind of the 200s. Yeah, parting ahead for Hugh Carthy. I don't think he would have enjoyed that, but yeah, he's the chosen one today. Apparently, maybe that was the Abbot who's decided to groove up, leave the habit of a lifetime of closing the doors up the road and offer up some encouragement. Oh, you need more than that if you're the GOAT. Cyril Gauthier, I'm afraid, with suffering a little bit of bangle dangle and more. Yes, I'm afraid his gold medallion's not going to help him today. 4.7 kilometres to go. They've actually dealt with the hardest part, Brian. It's still got some difficult sections though, and guess what? AG2R. Yeah, Matthias Frank is the first rider to go on the attack now for AG2R. It was only a matter of time. We did say it was in the last 5 kilometres. That's when we'd start to see something, and now we're down to I think it's Moscon, Bernal and Souza at the front, but AG2R, we said they had numbers. In fact, sorry, it's Diego Rosa that's at the front for Ineos with Bernal and Souza just behind, but AG2R having numbers and they've decided to attack this race. Yep. And indeed part of their battle plan. I noticed that Visconti's also getting himself up and into place. Nobody able to follow. That was teed up nicely actually. They've been part of the driving pace, AG2 Le Mondial, with their brown shoulders. In fact, a couple of their numbers still tucked within the group here, should anyone try and bridge. It's a modest margin, about 5 bike lengths at the moment. Meanwhile, 4.4 kilometres to go. We're nearly there, Brian, and some twists and turns still to be had today. Yeah, they're not giving anybody any room whatsoever. Matthias Frank, solid rider, but he got the gap and struggling to maintain it now. It's still Team Ineos with 3 riders astronauting this. They had 6 riders in the previous climb. They've used up 3 of them already, but Vilela is still up towards the front for Astana. Hugh Carthy still there for Education First. Dan Martin there, Gabriel Zabier on the right hand side for Team Dimension Data. Yep, great to see. And there is Manny Bookman as well for Bora in the aquamarine and black next to the pink of Hugh Carthy. Also Nico Ede, who we know has got something about him when he decides to go on the attack. He's chosen not to do so this time. Didn't want to join forces with the Swiss, Matthias Frank. And straight by, almost dismissively so, the power that Diego Rosa shows as he just eases by. That's phenomenal. That's got to be a heartbreaker, hasn't it, when somebody comes by you like that? Yeah, it's difficult to make the effort, but he made the effort, and it's even harder to kind of hold on to it. So he decided that it's probably better to come back into the fold and sit there. And the pace that Team Ineos have set means that it's very difficult to attack, and if you do attack, you won't get very far. But you know, they still have got Souza to use, Bernal, 4 kilometres to go. No one else thinking of the attack because of the pace. You can just see they're starting to communicate into the race radio. So what is Bernal asking? Is he asking for a little bit more tempo, or is he asking to be slowed down a little bit? But there's only about 20 odd riders left. Thins down for Astana. We got Davide Villela. I didn't see if it was Gorka Izagirre. I think it was Andrei Zeitz that took over to the side of the road. Meanwhile, Rosa it is that's out of the saddle at the moment. Still staying planted is the Davis favourite, Egan Bernal. And they are riding exactly like they should, I think it's fair to say. Souza still there as well. Meanwhile, as you look across this line, they're struggling for space. Not much road space. It's at a premium, especially when it twists like this. Yeah, exactly. Just somebody getting caught up against the left-hand side of the roads. But Souza he's communicating a lot in his radio to Bernal, and Diego Rosa.
looks of it, he's on the point of the saddle. He's given absolutely everything. He's out the saddle. Looks as if they're trying to set up Bernal for the attack now.
Let's wait and see. When's he going to go? And Manny Bookman decides that it feels like now he moves up into position. Dan Martin just ebbs a little bit, and they put the hurt on yet again. Only 3.6 kilometres to go. They're on 9.8% at the moment. It's not the last of the big percentages, and it thins down even further. And look at the hurt that's been reflected back through this group.
Yeah, exactly. And so Sousa now takes it up, and you know that's the way it's been set up. It's been set up to go really, really hard. Put the rest of the group into, they say, the hurt blocker, and then attack them. And you know, this front group will explode. But Villela is still sitting well. Buchmann, Matthias Frank after his effort, Dan Martin, Hugh Carthy, Day is up towards the front. So it's a few riders just waiting. But this is a man that's been set up to go on the attack, and I think it has to come soon. How much has Sousa got left in the tank?
Let's wait and see. It's a gift. Well, we're just coming to the end of that 9.8%. It eases to 6.2, comes down to just under 6, and then pow, 11% awaits. They are driving into a whole world of pain here, but I think others are suffering more than Ineos at the moment. Sousa trying to tee up Bernal. Villela is on form, staying very much tucked in. As you can see, also we have Manny Bookman as well, wants to play the game, and Hugh Carthy's group have now been disengaged. There is Hugh Carthy, bottom of your screen, but Dan Martin is sailing away with this very, very select group. Dan Martin not out of this.
Well, that was just somebody losing the wheel there. I didn't quite see who it was. It might have been Gorka Izagiri, but you have to stay in the wheel, and it's all about positioning. And you see there's only 7 riders left. Villela now can't go with this pace, and it's just once you lose the wheel, then other riders struggle to come round you. But this is some pace now being set by Sousa. Everybody just looking at the back wheel in front of them.
Absolutely spectacular. I'm so impressed by what AG Tour Le Mondial have done today, and Dan Martin's been down today. A little bit of a hip graze there as well. Not nice.
Yep, but he's still there. He's still chugging away, and it just kind of eases ever so slightly. But Sousa and Team Ineos have done a very good job today in setting this up. Fast tempo still now. Bernal must be feeling super good.
Yeah, he must be, because he hasn't called off the hounds, as it were. Davide Villela, I think he was supposed to tee up for Gorka Izagiri today. He's dropped to the back. He's got the excuse, so he can actually watch on at the moment and then go for himself. That gap is not going to be retrieved. There's too many motorbikes for a start in the gap, but at the moment it's Ineos that are opposing it. Manny Bookman staying with it. I think Manny Bookman's having a free ride here. Let's see whether he can turn this into glory. Dan Martin kind of finished from a couple of years ago. Can he dial the clock back and do it again?
Another one, Villela, he came back. I thought he was gone. He let the wheel go, but he's recovered a little bit now. But with AG2R, still have 2 riders in here, Nance Peters and Matthias Frank. And Matthias Frank has already been on the attack, but he's a rider that's starting to struggle a little bit now.
So Nance Peters potentially the chosen son, but looking at this group right now, Manny Bookman looks very, very strong. Let's see what Bernal's got. After such a master plan having been laid out on your behalf, the pressure's got to be on Bernal to deliver.
Yeah, it has. It's I think looking at it,
there he is.
He's asking for a little bit more tempo now from Sousa.
Gets it.
But it's Bookman that looks possibly the strongest of the others at the moment.
Yeah, as you can see, tongue hanging out here from Nance Peters, and Dan Martin looks like he's been distanced just ever so slightly. You never know when the pace changes. Sometimes there's a lull and then it goes, and it's easy to lose a wheel, and Dan Martin struggling to get back on at the moment, and it looks like that gap is just starting to widen as they hit the 11% marker. Great time to go when it hurts most. If you're hurting, you know everyone else is hurting even more if you're on good form, and this man is.
Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time now. I think it's over this kicker now, because Sousa is giving it absolutely everything, and as soon as this eases, I think just round the corner, that's when Bernal goes. I think Nance Peters is gone, but this is just power. Just a powerful performance by Team Ineos now. They've been at the fronts in that previous climb. They've not been off the front, and it's absolutely amazing.
Bookman blows. Dan Martin's gone as well. Nance Peters away, I'm afraid, off the back in a bad way. And right now, here he is. He's got the release. It's time to deliver on the promise of his team. They started off as out-and-out favourite for the day, and with the peeling away of so many other big names at the feed zone, just not liking the pace and wanting to keep something in the legs for Lombardia, Egan Bernal has gone, and he's left everyone in his wake. This is magnificent. Yeah, it's just a masterclass of sheer power with the team. They've set the tempo, they've launched Bernal, and he still has to deliver. But yeah, it's been a really powerful performance. They've pretty much ridden everybody off the wheel. Absolutely, unbelievably impressive. Here is Dan Martin getting himself back here, and he'll be looking for a runners-up spot today if he can possibly muster himself. Nance Peterson is out of the saddle, plops straight back down, but he's got an anchor with Ivan Souza on his back wheel. Meanwhile, as well, within that group, it's minor places only, I'm afraid. And look at that, he's already got 13 seconds, and he's not holding back. He's still going. He's going to hit the inside the Flamme Rouge. It suddenly kicks up again to 9%, and quite frankly, you just believe that this man's going to have just an extended margin by the time he gets there. Remarkable. Yeah, it's just a powerful performance, and Dan looking to get back to Peters, Buchmann and Souza. And if he can, as you said, he's been down today already, and Dan is a fighter. He'll want to try and get on the podium today. This is so impressive. You know, it's a team that often sculpts its own destiny, but to be able to deliver it, you have to get everything right. One element of the chain goes wrong and it's all over, and this man is going to bring it home. A perfectly executed strategy like very few teams are able to deliver. It's not a tactical masterclass. It just comes down to power in the end. All Ineos did was go to the front, used Castroviejo, Puccio. They had Ghana riding pretty much all day, so they just rode pretty much onto these final two climbs and rode everybody off the wheel, and they just got faster and faster and faster. The tempo was so hard that we only saw one attack, and that was Matthias Frank, and he was soon brought back, but Bernal was just waiting to go. And you know, nice to see Souza up there as well, and he'll be battling it out for the other positions. Well, he can sit in at the moment, Souza, while Bernal goes and does his thing. And with approaching the 500-meter mark, there's a camera stuck on the inside of the curve where he wants to be, and I hope it moves. It's all very well getting these arch shots, but quite frankly, if you interrupt the line of the rider, it's not good. In fact, security just coming and waving them away right now. There it is, and indeed the Stills bike does go. Now he's got his up the nostril shot into the hoarded section. And 22 seconds, it might be 27 by the time he hits the line, the way he's going at the moment. Power's on, got a cushion. Is he going to sit on it? No quarter given by Team Ineos today. And indeed, this man, captain of his destiny, just sailing away. Yeah, simple execution of power by Team Ineos today. And, you know, they deserved this victory. They took it on. Two other teams rode today, Neri Sotoli and UAE. I don't think Neri Sotoli will be on the podium with Visconti, but there's an opportunity for Dan Martin to try and get on the podium for UAE. So he just goes onto the cobbles, turns right, he'll swing left, and he'll see the finishing line. Yep, indeed. His elbows and wrists start to chatter just a little bit. That seat post is not going to be the most comfortable thing to sit upon, even with a saddle you're used to. And there's the finish line for a man who basically was the cherry on the cake for what had been cooked up by Team Ineos today. They had a plan, they stuck to it, and this man had to deliver. Was there ever any doubt? Absolutely not. Buchmann's just going to get tagged here as Souza comes round the outside. It's going to be an Ineos 1-2 by the looks of things, unless Buchmann can get back. It looks like podium place only up for grabs for him. Bernal delivers what Ineos set out to do. Amazing. They get a 1-2. Good to see that Nance Peters gets the line. Fourth place only for Buchmann, I'm afraid. And Dan Martin weaves across the line, but it was a tapestry of success that these guys are going to drape themselves in. Ineos supreme today, all the way up to the Basilica. And it's they that take a fine victory. Beautifully executed. Yeah, it was. Souza getting second, so 1-2. So a pretty much dominant display of power by Team Ineos today. And Bernal said at the start of the day that he really wanted to win, and he delivered. He did. The rest coming in right now. There's Visconti. Wasn't to be a dream for him in the yellow jersey, a yellow top for trade kit. Louis Meintjes coming to the line with a creditable finish.
Yeah, you can just see everybody fighting, trying to get as best a place as possible. Gorka Izaguri, Hugh Carthy. It was a tough climb in the end. A lot of splits in the front group when we consider we had about 50 or 60 riders at the bottom.
Wow, what a day and what a weekend we got in Prospect as well, Brian. We've had some wonderful racing this week, courtesy of our friends in Italy. And we thank them for it, but we look forward to Lombardia and, of course, Paris-Tours still to come as well.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we see this is where the race was won, but Lombardia, big race on Saturday. And maybe they'll look at this race because this in the past has been won by predominantly sprinters. But this edition, they've made it very, very difficult. The 103rd edition of this race, won by Bernal. And it was a tough finish in the Giro a couple of years ago, but the way it sits, we had quite a few riders of note climb off at the feed station today. Take nothing away from what Team Ineos done today. This was just a masterclass of power.
Yeah, slightly depleted fields with Lombardia looming large on Saturday. But take nothing away, as Brian says, from this man's victory. That was as effective as it gets. Ineos doing a job, and Egan Bernal delivering.